Most agency owners are still using cold email strategies from 2019, which is causing them to lose tens of thousands of dollars in potential revenue every single month, while we have a system that's booking us over 200 qualified sales calls per month by sending over 100,000 emails per month, which last month allowed us to do over $120,000 cash collected. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the entire system that's consistently generating us 1.2 to 1.5% positive reply rates from our cold email campaigns, while most agency owners are stuck at 0.2%. So let me know if this sounds familiar. You're looking for how to write a cold email script on YouTube, and you find one of these gurus about cold email who tells you to make these huge promises to offer all of these leads to your niche, and you write an email something along the lines of, hey, if we can get you more leads using whatever method you do you want to learn more? And then they reply to you, and then you have to give them a whole bunch of information up front before they actually decide to book a call with you, and most of them end up just wasting your time getting them to follow up with you and don't even book at all. So this used to work really well about 6 or 7 years ago. And the reason for that is because everyone was just pitching their product and no one was actually talking about the result. No one was talking about getting them more leads. No one was talking about increasing the revenue. No one was talking about any of that. So what would happen is these people receiving these emails would be like, oh, this person actually understands what I want, right? And because they felt like they've been understood, they in turn booked a call. Now what's happening is every single person who's doing not even just cold email, but any kind of marketing is making these crazy claims, and they don't feel that understood anymore because everyone is saying the same generic thing. Nowadays, if you don't have customization, specificity within your email, you're not going to get anyone's attention, and everyone's just going to put you in their spam folder. In order to succeed with cold outreach, there's two main factors that you have to implement. Number one is that you have to be specific, and number two, your outreach has to be customized and personalized, all right? Most people, what they try and do now to overcompensate for this low response rate is they just try and make bolder and bolder claims. But the way that you have to attack this is by making more specific claims and by making more customized claims so that you're, again, go back to the place where your prospect actually feels like they understand you. So I'm going to give you an example and a story that I had with my client who was stuck at a 0.1% positive reply rate. And after making the changes that I'm talking about now, he went to a 0.5% positive reply rate in an extremely saturated niche. So Adam Hunt, one of my clients, he's working with, e-com stores. He was sending thousands of cold emails every week before he even started working with me. And he was doing something along the lines of saying, we'll give you free creatives for your email to increase the amount of revenue that you're getting. And he did email marketing for e-com brands. And he was giving this free thing away. It was pretty solid creatives that he's making, but no one seemed to be interested. No one was replying. And when people even did get on the call, a lot of the times it was just for the free thing. Even the positive replies he were getting were not really interested in his service. So what we did was, instead of the promise saying, we're going to increase your revenue and we're going to give you these creatives for free, we simply switched it to being more specific about how we're actually getting them the revenue. So instead of saying we'll increase your revenue, what we did is we used Clay to make an AI personalized first line. And how it would do this is that we would use this AI to go into each individual person's website, find the main product listing on their website that's selling the most. And then what we would do is we would reference the name of that product inside of the cold email. So let's say if this was a fashion brand, like for this specific lead. So we would say, hey, love the look of XYZ hoodie that they have on their site or whatever. I think that's gonna do really well this coming fall. If I could increase the conversion rate on your hoodie by recovering people who left at checkout by 20 to 30%, would you be open to a conversation? Now, we're not just saying anymore, we're gonna make some emails for you, which is gonna get you more revenue, which is super vague, and anyone can just go ahead and say that. But we're specifically talking about one piece on their website, saying exactly what we're gonna do to increase the conversion rate, the actual metric that we're going to improve to make the overall conversion rate better, without obviously disclosing exactly what the service is, which is going to give them enough intrigue to actually want to book a call. Another example for us is basically, you've seen probably a million of these cold email agencies just talk about, hey, we'll get you more leads, we'll get you more appointments, whatever, right? So instead of just doing that, we decided to use this AI, go on people's sites and reference their specific services, because we target marketing agencies and they have all different kinds of services, right? Whether it's SEO, whether it's Facebook ads, whether it's Google ads, whether it's organic content. There's a whole bunch of different things that social media or marketing companies do. So we took that information and referenced that inside of our outreach. So instead of saying we'll get you appointments with, qualified leads, whatever that means, now we're talking about we'll get you connected with qualified business owners who are looking for SEO. or who are looking for Facebook ads in the next 3 months, or we guarantee all the risk. And once we did that, our booking rate went from about 0.3 all the way to about 0.7, just with a very, very small change to our script. And even though it's the same offer, because we were being more specific with what we were saying, it's number one, significantly more believable, and number two, it's way more appealing and it resonates more with the people who are actually reading the email. So the first and most important thing about improving your reply rate is going to be feedback. So not only is every single sales call an opportunity for you to be able to sell your service and make some money, but also it's an opportunity for you to be able to learn more in depth what your clients actually want. So for example, a lot of the things that our clients were saying on sales calls is they're having feast or famine months, where some months it's really good and they'll get like whatever 3, 4, 5, 6 clients, whatever the case may be. And then they'll go like 4, 5, 6 months with no clients at all. So it's just always ups and downs. And a lot of them, they would refer to those months as slow months. So what we then iterated on our initial email copy was saying, if we could build you an automated appointment booking system that would find you clients on slow months, would you be interested? So again, this is just being more specific into what these clients actually want. And that campaign did extremely well. And the reason for that isn't because we just, invented a new method that is going to blow people's minds, but it's simply by listening to the feedback of the market that we were able to come up with something like that. And at this point, we've worked with over 100 niches for marketing agencies. So we kind of know the main things that people are going to reply to for most niches. And so we can, plug that right into our clients' businesses right off the bat and instantly start seeing way better results than if they were to try it on their own. The next thing that's important to implement, if you're someone familiar with marketing and advertising, you should be aware of the 70-20-10 principle, which is basically when you are allocating resources towards ads, and again, this applies to cold email as well, you want 70% of your emails to be your control email. So that's going to be your body copy that's tried and tested, you've proven it works, and you're just going to be running that. 20% is going to be iterations of slight changes towards that copy. So maybe you'll change like a couple sentences, or you'll restructure the way it is, but it's very similar to the control, the original. And then 10% of your emails are going to be completely new, completely Hail Marys, and some of those will work, a low amount of them. But once you get one to actually beat the control, it pays for the expense of you failing on all the other ones you're testing. And that's how, with that iterative process, we're able to maintain super high reply rates, that we're consistently booking the right amount of appointments that we need every single month. Now, if you want to work with me and my team one-on-one, and we'll help you build out this whole strategy so that you can implement it directly into your business, and also we'll guarantee you 120 appointments in 120 days. There's a link in the description that explains a little bit more about how we can actually help you with that. But other than that, let's get back to the video. So here's the breakdown of my cold email system and what we're doing to send 2,000 new emails per day. And by new emails, I mean to new people. If you include follow-ups, it's over 6,000 emails a day. So at the moment, we have 3 campaigns running. This one's just finishing up follow-ups, and we kind of just duplicated that campaign and moved it over to a new one. But this is what we're running right now, and these are our metrics over the last 6 months. As you can see, we've generated over 1,000 positive replies, so, this stuff works pretty well. So this is the breakdown. So on our main campaign, we have 864 messages being sent to new people every single day, and this is to specifically marketing agencies inside of North America. Then if you look at our second campaign, which we use a separate provider for, which is Hypertide, we like to balance both Google and Microsoft inboxes, because sometimes what happens is there's fluctuations and changes in the algorithm. So we always want to make sure we're using, different providers and different types of email infrastructure, so that, if one stops working, we can still run the other one and we're still getting appointments and everything like that. So for this campaign, at the moment, we're sending about 515 new outreaches per day. And then for our final campaign, which is to Europe specifically, we're sending about, I believe this is about 616 outreaches per day, right? So total, we're getting about 2,000 positive replies every single day. Now, the way that I generate those and the way that we, set that up in the infrastructure, obviously I do want to see our exact settings. I'll scroll down for here and you can kind of see, exactly what we're doing. But in order to generate these, the first thing and the most important thing, like I said, is the offer and the scripting, which I was mentioning before. Now, once we actually have these replies, we need to be able to have a way to convert those. So before we go into that, I want to show you the actual personalization we use to get these high reply rates. Like, 2%, 3% total reply rates is pretty good. And obviously it means you have a healthy campaign, a healthy script, and a good email infrastructure. So I want to show you the personalization. So basically what we do internally is we have a 3-step personalization process, and we pull from 3 different sources, because what happens if you just pull from one source, a lot of people aren't going to have like super specific information available on that source. So we want to be able to look at multiple points of data so we get the most amount of people who give us personalization. So the first thing we do, and the most effective thing we do is we look on their website for case studies. Now, this is in our specific niche that I'm going to walk you through. Obviously, for different niches like Adam in, the e-com space, obviously was something different where he pulled like product names. And we have some people who are targeting SaaS companies, and they'll pull like the different plans and tiers of service they have. So if they have like $299 per month, like middle tier plan or whatever they call it, they'll reference that in the email, right? But for our specific situation, targeting marketing agencies, case studies is one that works really well. For example, one of the things that this would look like is it'll pull from their website. Let's say this company for specific. I saw you help Coastland Dental improve patient retention and boost overall revenue. Impressive, right? So again, this is a specific person that they had on their website. And now we can say, if I can help you get more dental clients who are looking for patient retention strategies every month, would you be open to a conversation? Again, we're just tailoring this very specific information into copy that we can use for these people's outreach, right? So that's the first thing we'll do. Now we have a waterfall step where if we don't find a match for these people, this will be blank. And then as long as we have an email for them, we'll go on to the next step, which is going to be looking for a recommendation on LinkedIn. So this one, for example, found a recommendation on a LinkedIn, assuming this is a different Josh, but kind of is the same as me. So moving on, read your recommendation from Zach Swire, highlighting your dedication to your team and mission. Impressive. So this is, again, if you look on someone's LinkedIn account at the bottom, you're going to see recommendations. So Artem talked about, how working with you is a game changer, for example. So if someone was targeting me, they would be able to automatically pull this information and say, hey, Artem, recommended you on your LinkedIn, saying that working with you has been a game changer, impressive, or something like that, right? And with this information, again, just being very targeted and saying, if I could help you connect with a few more clients just like Zach, would you be open to having a conversation or, having a demo call? So this is what, we find. Now, if we still can't find any information, then what we'll do is we'll look at their most recent LinkedIn post, and then we'll talk about that. So for example, this guy's post, right? I saw your post about building marketing systems at YAH. That's awesome. If I could connect you with other people who are looking for similar marketing systems, would you be interested, right? Again, always tying the specific information to the specific outcome that we can help them deliver without over-promising crazy results, but just being more tailored to that specific client, right? So overall, this allows us to get personalization for over 80% of people, 85% of people sometimes, depending on the niche. And then for the people who we can't find a personalization for those 15%, and we'll just use a generic personalization like, hey, I was looking on your website and I wanted to reach out or something like that, right? Once we do this, most people just leave it at that. And even the few people who are aware of like making sure your email's dialed in and making sure it's personalized, most people will just leave it at that. If someone replies, they'll reply to them and like hope they book a call. What we do is a lot more proactive than that, because every single time someone positively replies to our email is a extremely valuable opportunity for the business to capitalize on. If we can get that person, move through the pipeline as soon as possible, obviously, as long as your retention isn't terrible, that's a lot of lifetime value on the table that you're not picking up on. So there's a very simple system that we use internally to make sure that we maximize on the leads that we actually get. So first thing we're going to do is when someone replies to us on email, we're going to connect them on LinkedIn. There's two reasons for this. Number one is because if they do book a call, they're going to be able to go through my profile. I mean, regardless of whether they book a call, they're going to be able to go through my profile, see the social proof. Okay, this guy's a legitimate human. They can go down here. They can see all my case studies. This is one with Adam Hunt. This is one with, we have a lot in here, but I'm not going to go through them all. Someone can actually see, they can consume this content and they'll be like, oh, this guy is legit. And then once they get on the call, they're significantly more likely to close, right? The second benefit of doing this is you stay top of mind. So some people, when they reply to you and you reply back, they might not book right away. But if you connect with them on LinkedIn and they see it like, let's say 2 hours later, they're going to remember, oh, this is the guy that sent an email to me. And then they're going to go back and book in. So if you are omnipresent and if you're in multiple locations at the same time, they are going to be reminded of the initial positive interaction that they have with you. And then they're going to want to go back to the email and then they will book a call, or they might just book a call directly from, my LinkedIn page. So this will take them to my funnel, etc. Right? So the next thing that we do is we prioritize, and I mean really prioritize, speed to lead. So this is something that I have setters for, and we rigorously track this, is that every single reply should be under 5 minutes of when they positively replied back to us. The average session time on email, and this goes for LinkedIn, this goes for any kind of channel, is less than 10 to 20 minutes on average. So if you are not responding within the time frame before they leave the platform, the likelihood that they are going to get back to you is, number one, extremely low. low. And number two, the likelihood that they will have the same amount of intent as they did when they initially replied to your email is way lower. The most motivated someone is ever going to be to book a call with you is the instant that they positively reply or show some interest in what you have to offer, which is why it is so crucial that you're replying to them as soon as you possibly can. Now, if there comes a situation where we can't book them in by replying to them immediately, like I said, we're going to follow up with them by connecting with them on LinkedIn. We're also going to send them a iMessage from an actual iPhone. We actually purchased a software called SendBlue, which allows us to send iMessages from a computer so we can do it at scale. If you're targeting like European countries, WhatsApp often works better than that. And then also, again, if they still don't reply to that or anything within 5 to 10 minutes, we're going to instantly double dial them. We have a dialer situation, and then we will call them and WhatsApp them and SMS them and LinkedIn message them every single day for the next week. And we'll continuously, call them when we have available time that isn't occupied by, responding to new leads extremely quickly, which allows us to capitalize on all the people who aren't ready to take action the very second that they reply. Now, a lot of times what will happen is you're going to have these results of super high reply rates, right off the bat. And then what's going to happen is they're going to diminish slowly over time, even if your deliverability is up to date. And the reason why this happens is something called, stimulus fatigue. Essentially, I showed you before, we're sending about 2,000 cold emails every single day to our market, and we have about 60 to 70,000 verified leads of people in our niche. And if you do the math, what that means is if we just outreach to people on weekdays, which is what we do, we run through the entire market every 45 days. And what that also means is people eventually, they're going to get tired of seeing the exact same message, and the reply rates are going to slowly start to diminish. And if you don't understand this principle, you're not going to know what to do. So by knowing this, we have a process in place where we are able to test new copy that allow us to maintain and continuously improve the reply rates that we have on cold email. Now, if you're thinking about implementing these strategies that I talked about in your agency, these are typically the timelines that I see for success for most companies. The first thing that you need to do is you need to find proof of concept, okay? So to do this, I would recommend sending anywhere from 300 to 500 new emails, that's like to new leads, every single day to start. And I would also send 2 to 3 follow-ups on top of that for each person that you're reaching out to. Now, as soon as you get proof of concept, which I would define as a 5x ROAS, so look at how much you're spending on email, and then if you are achieving more than 5 times what you paid from new clients in their LTV, then that's, I would consider the minimum proof of concept. Obviously, you can be better than that, and right now we make about $8 for every $1 we spend on cold outreach, but you want at least 5 in order to be able to actually scale. And then once you have that initial proof of concept, it becomes pretty easy from there when most people try and overcomplicate it. But instead of trying to focus all your energy on trying to tweak the script and make it slightly better, what you just want to focus on is scaling to your whole TAM every 45 days as fast as you possibly can. So basically what that means is you want to get to the point where you have every single lead and every single email in your niche, and you want to be able to reach all of them every 45 days. So just divide the amount of people in your niche that you can get emails for by 30 because you don't want to send on weekdays. And then that's how many new emails you should be sending every single day to people in your niche. And once you have that in place, that should approximately take 2 to 4 months to really get down. And if you avoid the common mistakes that most people face, which is not doing their market research properly, and what that means is they're just offering what they want to sell and not what other people want to buy, which is the first thing that I talked about. If you aren't extremely clear and specific on what you're helping people with, they're not going to be interested. And if you're specific, but you're specific on something that they do not want, then they're not going to be interested, right? So this assumes that people actually want what you sell. And if you don't know how to package that properly, that's the first thing that we help our clients with, because if you don't have that right, nothing else is going to work. But if you have that nailed down, typically to go from absolute scratch to being able to target your entire market and really scale up your cold outreach takes approximately 2 to 4 months, where you can start seeing 30 to 50 if your niche is even like relatively large, booking about 100 plus appointments every single month, which we're at the point of we're booking over 220 with only a couple of different channels, right? So that's typically what we see, and we've gotten to the point where we're extremely good at this. We can literally guarantee that if you don't get 120 appointments in 120 days, we will just give you back all your money, because we know that if you implement our systems with the scripts that we give you inside of the infrastructure that will help you set up, we know you're going to get results. So in short, cold email in 2025 comes down to building a system that delivers the right message to the right person with the right level of specificity, and again, talking about what they want. So while other agencies are still using outdated templates, if you implement this, you can incorporate an AI-powered system that treats each prospect like an individual outreach. And if you want my personal help building this entire system with you and guarantee you a minimum of 120 appointments in the next 4 months, guaranteed, click the first link in the description and it'll show you more about how it works. I'll see you guys in the next video.